Welcome to the Energy Hour. The Energy Hour is brought to you by Quality Home Improvement, Southern California's premier residential and commercial contractor, making homes and businesses energy efficient, one building at a time.
Hey, Rob, what's going on?
How you doing, Chris?
Hey, it's Happy Thursday.
It is.
We did a short podcast yesterday on deception, lies, and myths. That was pretty good. I liked it.
Exposing a lot of the stuff we see in the industry, right?
A lot of these guys go out there and talk about this stuff, but I'm glad we hit that topic. And now it's off our shoulders. So if customers want to drink the Kool-Aid, drink it well.
That's right. What we're trying to just do is, there are some salespeople out there that are the stereotypical used car salesman, and
why is that with salespeople? Is that like?
I think
did they go to used car salesman school in the beginning? Is that where they learn from?
I think unfortunately it comes down to a lot of companies put a lot of quotas on people, a lot of pressure on people, and when they get into a desperate situation, sometimes they start doing desperate things, which means sometimes selling deals they shouldn't be selling.
Yeah, unfortunate but true.
Yeah, so that's what we kind of dealt with yesterday, and today.
Yeah,
my God,
this is great stuff,
I've got some.
Man.
I got some news for you.
This is like, I don't know. Water is to thirsty people.
Well, this is something people really need to pay attention to.
I'll let you give the honors.
Well,
Rob.
no, the bottom line here is if we start look, the first thing we're going to say is don't believe a word we say.
Exactly.
Okay, I want you to go out there, get off the couch a bit, take your laptop or your computer. Use a thing called Google, and I want you to research everything we tell you today and verify it for yourselves.
Yep.
Okay.
Do it.
I've always had a saying: people may lie, but numbers don't.
How true is that?
The only way numbers lie is if the disingenuous, dishonest people cook the books like they did on Enron, and then they misrepresent things. Yeah. But the bottom line is numbers are pure. Yeah. All right, and we've really reached you snooze, you lose moment. Okay, so if we take a look at the increasing of prices and we take a look at the diminishing of incentives, if you don't smartly act, you are going to, as a residential customer, you're going to go up somewhere between 54 to 58% within 4 years.
The sad thing about that is it's ultimately true.
It's true, and it's your decision to get around it, and I hope that gets your attention, because if somebody's telling me 54 to 58% increase is going to happen, my first question is, okay, how's that going to happen and how do I get around it? We're going to answer both of those today.
Yeah. First and foremost, I want to thank you for sending me over that Bill Nye the Science Guy link from YouTube. Did you see that?
That was hilarious.
It was the best 40-second YouTube video.
I've never seen Bill Nye cuss.
Amazing.
But we are kind of at that moment in time.
He's like slapping us in our face in a nice way.
Yeah.
And I've never heard this guy cuss before in my entire life.
So he did it. I think he was going on the Jamie Oliver show. And so there's some comedic nature to that already. And so they filmed it for that. But what was really funny to me...
Unbelievable.
What was funny to me it wasn't just that he cussed, because that was like, wow, I've never seen that. But it was when he mentioned, look, I had no problem teaching you about photosynthesis when you're 12, but you're adults now. And we have a very adult problem on our hands with, it's the other day they were talking about our government talking about climate change and global warming as if they were two separate things.
Yeah.
And Bill Nye said, they're the same. Idiot, they're the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he literally called people idiots.
He called them a lot more than that.
And I like calling them idiots, but this guy was great.
I can see. Well, the thing is there's just ignorance.
Do we have to resort to that to kind of like...
You know what? There's a practice in Zen meditation where sometimes the master will take a bamboo stick and hit you across the back to wake you up to the present moment. If Bill Nye, the science guy, dropping an F-bomb is what it takes to wake you up in the moment, then that's something we want to do today too, because we're talking about a lot of money that you're about to pay. You have been paying for decades, but a lot more that's coming down the pike. And if I have to take the bamboo today, both of us, and hit you on the back to wake you to the present moment, that's what we're doing today.
I'm going to go out and buy 2 bamboo sticks.
Right?
We'll start slapping people during the podcast.
It's just wake up to the moment, okay? There's so many distractions. There's politics. There's HBO. But Game of Thrones is over, people. All right. It was,
Yeah.
you either loved or hated the ending, but right now you need to start paying attention about your lives and the energy increases that are coming and the incentive decreases that are coming. And you've never been at a sweeter spot to purchase, but you're about to lose it.
The funny thing is that, we're also supporting a president that, wants to go back to coal and oil.
Yeah,
Are you
kidding
kidding me?
The thing is, too.
Seriously?
Take all your politics aside for a moment.
Yeah.
Put them aside.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal. All right. That makes no sense in hell to go ahead and try to move us backwards. We're not about regressing. We're about progressing. The moment we took ourselves out of the Paris Accord, America led the Paris Accord. It might have been invented in Paris.
Right.
But we're the biggest boys at the seat, right?
That's right.
And then as soon as we're no longer there, guess who steps in? China and other companies are like, we're happy to see you go.
Yeah.
Because wherever there's a void, someone's going to fill it. And we're not even following anything right now. We're going back to ways we used to deal, low-tech ways, when high-tech ways are here. And the way our economy gets boosted, the way we create millions of jobs, all right, and the way we save our planet at the same time is all the same answer. It's renewable energy. Period.
That's the best green.
It's the best green.
It creates green in many ways, right?
So we're going to save our green planet.
I hope so.
We're going to make a lot of green in our industry and our economy.
Yay.
And we're going to save customers a lot of greenbacks.
I mean, some of these other countries in the world have already done that.
Yeah, absolutely.
They've set the precedence. The bar is high.
Absolutely.
Right? They participated in this, I call it a global warming catastrophe save.
Yeah.
If we don't do anything about it, and we're just part of this whole world, right? So, it's like when Tokyo had that nuclear meltdown.
Sure.
Right? Well, they didn't think that was going to come to us over here.
Right.
Are you kidding me? The water is the water, man. It's on one planet.
It affects everything.
It's like carbon.
Yeah.
The footprint is so huge.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, Greenland, Iceland, the Tigra.
Yeah.
All this snow is starting to melt, and the permafrost is going to start coming through that. It's there.
It's all so connected.
You don't got to be a scientist to figure that out. You got to listen to the smart people that figure it out.
Well, and here we go. We've got 97% of all scientists worldwide telling us what's happening.
97%.
And we got 3%ers standing out there not figuring it out yet. And
those are the ones controlling
look,
this.
I'm an American, right? I was born here. I'm proud to be American. Not always proud of how we act as a government, or things like that. And I think we could be better. But for me, I'm a human being first.
Yep.
I breathe the air on this planet first, and no country, no border, no anything's going to help you if the planet takes a ecological dive.
Once we get past this tipping point, as you already know, we can't just pull it back.
Right.
It takes 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years and aggressively to start pulling this tipping point back. And that's not going to be done. So when we get past that, it doesn't matter how popular you are.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much money you make, how many rockets you fly into space.
Or how much money you think you have to throw at the problem that's costing more to correct now because you're beyond that point. I equate it to you go get a diagnosis, a difficult diagnosis of cancer. There's certain things you should jump on. You don't say, well, here's your diagnosis.
I'm going to go to WebMD.
Right. Here's what you should do, and then you take a year to decide what you're going to do because that could cost you your life.
Yeah.
What you need to do is you need to treat the problem. And the planet is like our physical body. And there is an ailment called global warming, and we need to address that while the planet's still healthy. There's the old saying that, if all insects died within 50 years, the planet would die. If all human beings died within 50 years, it would flourish. It's very bright. It's a very smart phrase.
Makes sense.
Because in reality, it's showing where the problem comes from. 7.5 billion people on this rock going about 67,000 miles an hour through space, spinning at about 1,000 miles per hour, and we don't think that everything is connected to each other. It absolutely is.
You got to be an idiot not to think so.
And then what we have, like what we want to talk about today, is we have those raising costs and non-green ways of getting your energy. So again, this is something, another catastrophic thing, because for families and businesses, this is costing people a fortune, and it doesn't have to. That's the rub. you have the choice of changing this. You have the choice of becoming your own utility.
Yep. Utility.
Y-O utility,
there you
right?
go, baby.
So, I mean, and that's the thing. And, as long as we can show people that it can cost you less to own your power instead of rent it, fantastic. You need to be listening. But right here, up to 58% of an increase.
58%.
So you want to go through the numbers of why that?
Yeah.
All right. So very simple. The math is super simple.
I mean, it's basic math.
It's basic math. Okay. Number one, in 2019, we still have a 30% tax incentive, the ITC.
The last year.
Goes down to 26% next year, then 22, then 10, then buy. Except for businesses, it'll remain at 10.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're about to lose. So that's 4 years. In 4 years, if you're a homeowner, the 30% is gone. There's your first 30%. Now, on average, utilities, and I'm gonna pick on Edison a second, just because it's the one I'm in.
I love picking on them.
Yeah, well, it's the utility we're in here in Upland, California, right? They're all guilty to one degree or another, right? But they go up 6 to 7% a year. And when I talk about that, I'm talking about their price per kilowatt hour. I'm not talking about distribution charges that might go up. I'm not talking about, they switched their time of use to 4 to 9 p.m. So now they're hitting families right when they need it. They're charging you the most. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking 6 to 7%.
It doesn't even talk about what we talked about a couple of podcasts ago. $356 million to the ratepayers for new charging stations.
That's going to
has nothing to do with that.
No, exactly. So that right column.
So what really is the percentage of electricity going up?
That column under the right that nobody knows how to read, that number you just mentioned, it'll find its way in one of those line items.
Yeah.
Okay. But if we take all that, because that's the newest one.
Yeah.
That's coming.
Well, besides critical peak pricing,
right, coming
or
to
time of use to the home instead of tier 1 through 5, which used to be 3, 4, 5 years ago.
Right.
Now it's time of use, just like commercial.
Exactly.
It would not surprise me if demand charges were not passed down to the residential sector.
No, because what we see a lot is professionals.
Why not?
What we see a lot because we do both residential and we do commercial, we're even in utility
getting interval
scale.
data for a home.
Yeah, right. But we normally see
stupid.
A lot of times we see something start in one of the areas, one of the market spaces, and migrates to the other.
Trickles down, baby.
So to me, I think you're absolutely right. In some way or another, some sort of demand charge will hit the home. But if we take all that out, like the $356 million for charging stations coming to a line item near you soon.
Yeah, right.
It's going to be on your bill soon. Look for it. Though I'm sure they're going to put it in some way you didn't really see what it actually was.
And there'll be a guy smiling on that page that says, "Hey, welcome.
Your rates are changing," and he's smiling so big. But take all that and put it aside.
Yeah.
Let's just stick with 6 or 7% increase, which is basic.
Probably the lowest of the low.
No, but it's conservative. Yeah. We're not reaching
conservative.
On that.
Okay.
So if we times that by 4, that's 24 to 28% of an increase in 4 years. So 24 to 28% plus the loss of the 30% ITC, and you're at a minimum increase of 54 to 58%.
58%
in 4 years. That's what your bill's going up.
Well, PG&E called it. They even had that fire up there, and they're going to pass that on to the ratepayers. Up to 50%, their rates are going to go up. So if it goes up any further, I'm just saying, man.
So if you have a $200, just to put it in
doesn't make sense.
Just put it in easy terms to understand. If you've got a $200 residential bill, it's now $316.
Just for nothing.
Just because you waited.
Yeah, you waited.
Yeah, like I said,
shame on you.
You are truly at a snooze you lose moment, okay? Because as we've talked before, we're revisiting this because we really want to hammer this point home. You've got rates ever increasing. You got the only incentives available to you diminishing, right?
Absolutely.
You've got a price point on some of the top equipment out there, tier A equipment, that is at a really good price point today. They all mesh. Now, sometimes we get somebody that says, well, you know what, though? If I go ahead and I wait 4 or 5 years, won't the solar panels get cheaper?
Yeah, the sky won't fall.
The problem with that is you lost your 30% ITC. You lost 28% of paying higher with the rate hikes. And then you're going to come back and I'm going to say, yeah, they came down 5%. So now you're only upside down 49%.
49%. Oh, my goodness.
So it just has to get in perspective.
What a genius move.
We're not talking to sell people. We're talking to educate and make people understand that you're at a very fortunate space and time, especially in 2019. And this isn't a time to stop going out and buying a new car.
This is June, Rob.
No, I know. We're halfway through the year.
It's going to come so fast.
Yeah.
And you know what? To be honest with you, I'm kind of on the opposite. You're a nicer guy than I am, right? You're much nicer than I am. So I'm just going to say something like, tough. And if you haven't listened, if you haven't paid attention to anything that we're saying, to the economies of scale, you know what? Shame on you.
No,
don't cry about it. No. And you know what? I can't wait, and I hope all these manufacturers are listening. Mm-hmm. Stop doing this $30, $40, $1 a watt for solar panels. Raise that stuff up.
Well, but that's gonna naturally happen soon. So at the end of this year, so we're gonna have 2020 coming in.
Customers are gonna suffer so bad.
Every new home in 2020 from that point on has to have solar to some degree on it, correct?
The
state's moving more and more towards everyone having solar as long as you have a viable roof.
A viable roof.
So here's the thing. At some point, as it shifts from optional to more mandatory, the prices of this stuff is only going to go up as well.
Yeah.
So that's a whole new thing you bring up. It's another way it's only going to cost you. So it's one of those things of, the earlier you're in, the better. There's people that bought Facebook stock or were giving 1,000 shares of Facebook stock, when they first started.
Unbelievable.
That's now worth millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And and they bought $1,000 worth of shares.
Yep.
This is one of those things that if you buy early, you're going to save the most.
That's right.
Okay. So there's only two ways a business or a home can have more money. You either bring in more business to the business, you bring in more income, you get a raise at work for the home, or you save more money.
It's another good thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You put your wife back to work that hasn't worked in 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
You say, sorry, honey, you're going to have to work weekends too.
Well, and sadly, that's happening.
Seriously?
That's sadly happening where, you have a mother that's already buried with just the task of taking care of kids is a full-time job.
It's not easy.
No, it's one of the hardest things ever. And then
I couldn't do it.
No, women are amazing. Excuse me. They're just like, I'm in awe.
First,
But if you take a look, then they have to go back to work to help support a family and take care of the kids and help with all the things they do. And, and that's because just expenses are going up, especially here in California. We're one of the more expensive states to live in. And so I think you need to look at every opportunity to possibly save.
3% a year, the economy goes up. Mm-hmm. And that's a guaranteed. And then now you got this energy rate going up another 7% per year.
Right.
And that's with all these other incidentals we haven't even talked about.
Right.
The other hidden facades,
right.
The electric vehicle charging per se, and everything else. And you're sitting there just gobbling this up. You can't wait home to be further depressed, to turn on the news to find out the world's falling apart.
No, and it's you've probably heard this saying before, but
that's just insanity.
Time is either your friend or your enemy.
Oh yeah, we ain't got a lot of that either.
Okay, in this case, time if you act soon is friendly. Right. The longer you wait, the more it's your enemy, and a very costly one. If you go back and touch on the business too, is business has a MACRS depreciation of 34%. What if the government decides not to do that?
Oh my goodness!
Add 34% to the 58%.
That would completely railroad.
You've just doubled.
Wow!
For businesses, you've doubled their cost. So what we're just trying to say is, look, this is a very real increase that's coming to you. It doesn't even include a lot of the increases they're talking about, the new ones on the books that they've dreamt up. Like the charging stations and things like that. Because see, what's going to happen is they're going to pass that on to you. Tesla builds it into the price of their car. Porsche's coming out with their new competition for the Tesla. They're supposedly going to build 1,500 charging stations, but that's in the price of their car.
Yep.
But everyone always gets paid for it.
Yep.
Okay. But Edison's going to pass that on. So while it looks like, wow, we're going to get how many new charging stations? And then when you all of a sudden realize you're sitting there with a petrol car and you're still going to pay for that charging station, you have choices, but you don't have choices as long as you're going to keep. What's the loyalty for?
Yeah,
that's what gets me. What's the loyalty, Chris?
Yeah, there is none.
What?
First and foremost,
they give you power. They keep charging you more. They keep increasing your rates. They keep. Why so loyal?
Listen, it's a monopoly.
It's a monopoly.
16 million customers.
Yes.
Even if they add $1 to something
per month, there's $16 million more a month.
How much is enough? Are you kidding me?
Exactly.
What are they going to do it until everybody gets shut off?
Yeah.
I mean, and you know what? They don't have a problem shutting you off.
No, they don't.
They will definitely just say, oh, and by the way, if they shut you off, it's 0.9% interest to pay against that to turn your power back on.
Yeah, they can have a
you got to sign a document, a reactivation fee.
Absolutely.
So this is I think it's the number one manipulator, the number one monopolist
look, outside
in America, especially California.
Outside of your mortgage and outside of a car or things you may have, what's one of your highest costs? It's your electricity.
Always the electricity charge.
So, but you...
Well, even this is another thing, and it's similar to that.
Groceries and things like that.
Your entertainment, as far as I'm concerned,
yeah.
That keeps going up a lot. But you know what? It's always going to be the energy on top because you have to have that.
Yeah.
You have to. You get that?
You could buy.
You have to. If you own a house,
you have to
either buy candles.
Yeah.
Or you have to have electricity.
Yeah. You don't have to have cable and internet, but if you do, you need the electricity to run it.
Here's the sad part. Even if you turn your main breaker off, you will still get a connection fee of $10 a month.
Yeah.
Even if you have zero energy.
Yeah, absolutely. So the good news, though, like we talked about, the great news about this is the good news just requires you to take action.
Take action for sure.
It requires you to become independent. Okay?
Yeah.
To go ahead and look at ways to take control back in your life. There's a lot of people that look at, they'll switch from one internet provider to another because they can save $20.
Right.
And yet they delay on switching to solar that could save them hundreds a month.
Hundreds. And we talked about the economics of scale of how solar can help you save in many ways.
Absolutely. And for the most part, as we know, like what we've said before, you guys that went out there and bought a house made a wise decision. Then you made a not so wise decision. You rented your energy. So if you own your home, own everything that goes along with it as much as you can. Stop buying the next new car a year earlier or two that you have to. Stop trying to keep up with the Joneses. Guess what? The Joneses don't care.
They're going to run you over.
Try to lower the cost of operation in that house because that frees up money for family, entertainment, foods, vacations, whatever you want to do.
How about
savings?
How about a savings account?
How about
exactly.
an annuity like you talk about?
Hello.
Wow.
Right? Imagine that.
I could put an annuity aside to help my family just from the money I save on utility. Absolutely.
Just for that alone.
So it's what we call you're paying the money anyway. It's an anyway charge. You have to pay for electricity anyway. Why don't you save on that and use that extra money you save to redirect it to pay a house off sooner, put an investment together, an annuity, or take that vacation with the family and enjoy.
Here's the alternative. Get a tent and a solar cooker.
Yeah.
You can be homeless if you like. You can live on the streets somewhere, just like everybody else in Los Angeles and, Orange County and stuff. Just pick a spot.
Well, and then the government will, to make it look like there's less homeless, they're just going to classify them as outdoorsmen or something.
Outdoorsmen,
well,
yeah.
The spin,
there'll be a permit for that every year.
There's such a spin and BS out on everything.
Oh, man.
What we're trying to do with this talk right here, we're trying to cut through the BS.
We're just trying to smack you in your face nicely.
And give it to you straight.
Seriously.
You have a great opportunity here to just take your power back and do it at a much lower rate. Please listen. Like I said, you got 54 to 58% coming to you.
Use your brain, folks.
And I could tell you from what we've done with a lot of people, within 30 days, they're typically installed and going, and being able to flip a little bit of the bird to the utility and say, you know what, I've got this.
If your current solar provider or you're looking into it cannot install your residential solar system within 2 to 3 weeks.
Right.
If they give you this permitted,
everything.
I got to wait 6 months to 9 months to a year to have, XYZ company in California somewhere install your solar system. If you got to wait 6 months to get it installed,
well,
it just doesn't make sense.
And just a quick note on that also, there is a huge difference in quality of components like panels, inverters. And
we talk about it every day.
And the capacity of who installs. Okay, just not everybody installs the same way or designs the same way. But a great panel like we've talked about with Solaria.
It is the best.
One of the things that affords you is long-term production. Because if the production of your panel, because you decided I'm going to cut a corner here, right? I'm going to go a little cheap. and all of a sudden your degradation is higher, and you lose 20% in 10 years when you should have lost 4.
Right.
That extra energy you lose, you're going back to the utility to buy.
Yep, that's right.
Or you're adding to your system.
That's right.
But if you buy a panel and it's always my assertion that yes, does Solari cost a bit more? Yes. We use less panels because it's more powerful. Yes. Does it end up being the most expensive or the least expensive over time? I think it's one of the least expensive over time because it keeps producing. And as long as I don't have to go back to my utility and buy, it saved me more money. So this is one of those cases where the more expensive ends up being the least expensive.
It's the only thing in your home that or business that generates money, power.
Exactly.
There's nothing in your business that does it solar.
A perfect thing with that is, does your house typically appreciate in value?
It should.
Do you know solar does?
Every day.
And why does it appreciate? Because when you look at it, the components of anything you buy, just like a car, like you buy a car, it depreciates the moment it hits the pavement, right?
That's
you
right.
drove off the lot.
Right.
The reason solar goes up in value is because every year that your utility starts to charge you more, and it's still offsetting that energy.
That's
and
right.
You're paying less.
That's right.
It became more valuable.
Anybody with a solar system on their roof, you know what? You don't care if it goes up 7% a year. No. You want it to go up 100% a year at that point.
But if I had a $200 a month payment that it got rid of.
Oh, yeah.
And in a few years, that payment was $300 it's getting rid of. Didn't it just go up in value?
Exactly.
And that's what people need to understand. And just for us, I've never seen a year better than this.
You can't get it any better. This is the last of the Mohicans.
Will it be good next year, the year after? Absolutely, but it's not better than this. This year's just stellar.
This is the tip of the iceberg. Yeah. So from this point on, you're going to be sliding down with less incentives. Yeah. And you know what? Let's be honest with each other, folks. Your current utility provider, the United States government, is not going to incentivize you to do this. No. All they're going to do is say no.
Exactly.
So how do you say yes? By going green.
And so one of the things you have to look at, too, not to get political, but legislation-wise, you got to look at who's going to go ahead and help you or help the country. Hey, I sound better right there.
Yeah, I gave you a little boost.
Thank you.
You sound great.
But some legislation is against the public. It's not helping you.
No, not at all.
Okay. People laugh at the New Green Deal or things like that, but you know what? We need something. You know, JFK one day said we're going to the moon, and a lot got developed through that. We got some people trying to really push really big time revolution on energy. It's only going to help everyone. At the end of the day, it's going to help the people. But right now, going back to coal and other type things doesn't do that.
It's backwards.
It's backwards. So we always have to. We're a progressive country. We always need to be progressing forward. I personally think answers should have expiration dates.
Absolutely.
Because it makes us question.
That's a great one too.
Are we still doing things the right way?
Yeah.
People say, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right.
I say improve it. And so that's what we've done here. We've got a great model. We've got great product. If you look at the chart, we got one arrow going extremely up with rate increases. We got the other one going in the opposite direction of incentive decreases, and it's now.
God forbid.
This is it.
You don't take advantage of this, and you're sitting there at the wolf's helm.
Yeah. Well, imagine you lost the 30% tax incentive. You're up 28% in your rate, and California state says mandatory for solar.
You're in trouble. You're going to be spending an exorbitant amount of money.
Minimum double.
Hey, you know what? I don't mind. Bring it on.
Minimum double.
Sweet. You mean I can get that Range Rover, Rob?
Yeah.
I can get a Porsche now?
You can do whatever.
Sweet.
No, and that's the thing and there will be so many people. I mean, you know how humble we are about stuff, but I mean, there'll be so many people that will jump on that bandwagon.
Yep.
And just, excuse my language, rape and pillage. Economically, just take so much advantage. They're already doing that to some degree, but when the government basically says you have a viable roof and you need to be solar within X amount of years, you're in trouble.
Listen, it's all about paying attention.
Yes.
Listening to good information like this, starting to take control.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, if you want to have any consultation, doesn't cost you a penny, call us here at QHI, Quality Home Improvement, 1-800-275-2154. Or you know what? Just visit us on the internet and fill out a form.
Right.
If you don't want to talk to anybody over the phone, and we'll be more than happy to check you out.
You could talk to us. You could talk to us directly.
I mean,
Chris,
right? Hello.
Rob, we have great people here that will talk to you. I think pay attention is the big thing, because if you don't pay attention, you're about to pay more money.
Hey, Rob,
one of them.
We've said enough, man. And I'm going to put that Bill Nye video on the Energy Hour website. And, of course, you guys can find that at QHIINC.com/TEO. Just scroll down to the bottom, and you'll know it's Bill when he says his F-bombs and stuff like that. God bless this guy. He's been teaching people about science. He's such a wonderful human being. And then to see him come out and do this, if that's not the flipping wake-up call, man.
Well,
I said
reached
flipping.
that point, right? if it brings Bill Nye to a couple of bombs, it shows you we're at that we're approaching that tipping point, and it's a lot closer than we think.
Just remember, everybody who's out there that's a baby boomer is a grandparent that has kids having kids.
Yeah.
You know what? It's not going to affect us.
No,
it's going to affect your kids' kids.
Yeah.
They deserve to have clean air and something to protect themselves with.
You know what? You brought them into the world. Take responsibility.
Mother Nature, once you piss her off, here's the ultimate result.
Yeah.
She's not going to care who's on this planet. She's going to take control. She's going to wipe us out, and she's going to start over again, with or without us.
Yeah, it's just how nature works, and right now we're one of the biggest liabilities to
We're a liability to the planet.
And what we need to get to is to at least become neutral.
Oh, my goodness.
At least neutral.
Imagine that, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, Rob, I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, man.
Hey, thanks for hanging out and talking about
Absolutely.
this great segment. I'll stick this up as soon as we can.
Yeah, perfect.
More to follow.
Absolutely.
Thanks again, buddy.
All right.
Talk to you soon.
All right, good talking to you.
Bye now.
The Energy Hour was brought to you by...
Got your latest electric bill? Is it less than last month or last year? Probably not. But if you had a solar system from QHI, it would be. Your electric meter could be running backwards. Right now, get a QHI system installed for no money down, no out-of-pocket expenses. Get an immediate savings on your electric bill. Call 909-609-5437. Solar is all they do. Call QHI 909-609-5437.
For beauty, efficiency, and power, the only product we know in the solar industry is Solaria. Maximum power. For nearly 25 years, Solaria has set the pace for solar panel performance, efficiency, reliability, quality, and design. Maximum power. Solaria continues to leverage its patented technology, engineering expertise, and sophisticated automation into creating one of the most attractive, energy-efficient solar panels available on the market today. Maximum power. What really defines home solar? How about Solaria? Quality you can trust for your home or business. Solaria is the new benchmark for solar energy. Where do you get this panel for your home or business? Go to QHIInc.com. That's QHIINC.com/Solaria. SOLARIA.
Thank you for listening to The Energy Hour. Visit them on the internet by going to QHIInc.com/TEO. That's QHIINC.com/TEO.